And Joel Simkins joins us on the line from New York. He's an analyst at Macquarie, and he has an underperform rating on Wynn. So let's get to these numbers. Joel, what did you think of it? It looked like the market took some heart and saw its shares rise, but what did you make of it?
Well, no real surprises here. It was a very strong quarter for the company, again, driven really by Macau. EBITDA came in at $182 million. This is about $30 million above our projection. So anybody that's been tracking the numbers has seen very, very strong continued growth in Macau. Again, not a surprise. Las Vegas is struggling. EBITDA came in at $60 million. That was below our projection of $68 million. So it's really still a tale of two cities.
Yeah, it is a tale of two cities. Let me play for you what Steve Wynn told me last week in Macau.
My optimism about China is based upon the last 9 years of observations that I've made, because I'm there every month, about the common sense, feet on the ground approach of the government to its problems. I see much more stability, much more common sense, much more pragmatic, effective response to the challenges in China than I do in the United States.
Okay, so what do you think about what Steve Wynn has to say there, Joel? Because he is going long on China and not so much on Las Vegas these days.
Well, this is hardball politics at its best. I think you have to really give a lot of credit for Steve Wynn and his team for being on the same page as Beijing, and that's why they've been very successful on that market. They really understand the Chinese consumer. They understand the government mindset. And you look at that compared to other operators in Macau, like Las Vegas Sands, who've had sort of their run-ins with the government. Although I would note that it is very interesting to see that the company is considering moving its headquarters to Macau. This is probably going to create some political blowback, I think, in Nevada.
What sort of political blowback in Nevada? And does that mean that business would be more difficult for Wynn in Las Vegas?
I don't think it'll be more difficult. I just think, you're not making a lot of friends when you make those kind of statements. But again, this is a very powerful, successful entrepreneur who is clearly not, afraid to ruffle feathers. So it's a little bit of political jostling. But I think, again, you have to give a lot of credit for Wynn to understanding the Chinese marketplace.
Okay, Joel, so where does Wynn go from here? Because we still have revenue increasing month on month in Macau, not so much in Las Vegas, but is it an optimistic picture?
Well, we're still an underperform rating on the stock. It's been one of our tougher calls. Clearly, investors want to own this name. People are looking at a longer-term growth picture. As long as the Macau growth story remains, in place and you continue to see this month-over-month growth, I think the stock is probably going to go higher. Again, they've got a great position in the upper end of the of the Macau market, and clearly I think investors are going to turn their attention next to Cotai, which they mentioned on their conference calls, probably not opening until 2014. But if they do a project there, that's clearly going to get investors excited on that prospect.
Okay, and Joel, what about Las Vegas Sands here? I just want to change gears and talk about Las Vegas Sands. LVS opening their Marina Bay's Sands Resort in Singapore this week. Is LVS maybe seeing a more rosy picture these days?
Well, we're a little bit more positively inclined on that one. We have a neutral on that stock, but, so far what we see has been positive with regard to Singapore. Even Wynn commented on their earnings conference call that they've had no impact from Singapore. So clearly, I think this really indicates that Asia is a very, very deep market. We're just scratching the surface. So, a rising tide should lift all boats, and I think ultimately, both companies are probably well positioned for the long run in this marketplace.
Okay, Joe, but what do you think of the move of Las Vegas Sands? They're saying they're going to sell off their malls, basically their apartments, and a lot of property in Macau that they were going to build. They're going to start rebuilding, but they're just going to, I guess, sell it off at this point.
Yeah, I think you got to take a wait-and-see approach. I mean, I feel like we're a bit back to that 06, 07 euphoria where assets were going to trade at unheard-of multiples. So I think we need to throw a little bit of caution with regard to asset sales and again, see how the government reacts to these types of statements and also how the marketplace reacts. I mean, we still sort of believe there could be a bit of a property bubble in Asia. So I think these are longer-term objectives. I wouldn't anticipate them happening in near term.
Okay, Joel, thanks for sharing your time. Joel Simkins, Macquarie analyst.